Hey y'all, I'm here today with the Ed Coan. If you guys don't know who he is, you should stop watching this video and go look up some of his old videos.
For a deadlift. Let's go, Ed!
He is arguably one of the best powerlifters to ever be around. He was pretty good. I've gotten to know Ed over the years through just different stuff, seminars, slingshot, and I'm in Chicago, so I figured after our training, why don't we make a Q&A video? So really excited to be able to ask your questions because you are so knowledgeable in the sport. So this can be applicable, I think, to bodybuilders and powerlifters, or Olympic lifters, CrossFitters, but that would kind of be the demographic. So really anyone, I'm not just asking about powerlifting, so don't just tune out quite yet. So from what I know about your training, you were very good at picking out numbers per cycle. And a lot of times the problem I find with myself or clients or just people in general is that they really want to overdo it every day and they feel like, oh, I feel pretty good today, so let me just go for it. How did you stick to the numbers that you were supposed to, I guess?
I had my eye on the prize, so to speak. So when I wrote out my training cycle, I went from the back end forward. So the first day I write out a training cycle, I would start at 12th week, 14 weeks, however long I would make it. And then I would work my way back and I would write out every single set, rep, and weight for the whole training cycle on every single exercise, no matter what it was. So then,
how many people do that?
Yeah. So then when you do that and you come all the way back, then you look at it and say, based on where my strength level is right now, is this doable? Will each week build upon the next so that I can get to the end, which is most important. And then normally, then you go back and you would change all those numbers again, and I would do it like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times till I got all those numbers done. And that was for in-season, off-season, every single assistance exercise, and I cycled them all the way through. So it wasn't just squat, bench, and deadlift volume. I made up a lot of my volume with all my assistance exercises because I cycled them the same way, a lot of them.
Okay.
You know, with the exception like a curl or a lateral, but all my heavy compound movements were cycled the same as a powerlifting cycle. So everything got big and strong at the same time, but it all peaked at the same time too. So let's say you go through 3 months of a training cycle and you got your squat, bench, and deadlift stronger. The only thing that really gets stronger is your squat, bench, and deadlift. But if you do high bar close stance squats, pause squats, deficit deadlifts with no belt, stiff leg deficit deadlifts with no belt, you do heavy bent rows, you do heavy chin-ups, you do heavy shoulder presses, heavy close grips, heavy inclines, heavy dips. And when you get into all those things and you cycle them the same way, now what got strong?
Everything.
Huge amount. And then you do all the little fill-in stuff that makes you look pretty and balances you out.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you don't got a weakness, but let's say you did that 3-4 times a year for 3 years. Where are you after only 3 years? Look at this huge package of everything that you got. That's what I went by.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the process.
I think people are very short-sighted, and a lot of us, I mean, I know too, like when you want like a short-term goal, so it's hard to kind of stick to stuff, but take it from Ed, and I mean, you've been training for years, and with, you know, minor things here and there, but overall, like, you're still a healthy individual, and you can still train.
Good enough, yeah. I can still move.
I mean, there's plenty of people who are like 30 and can't even like work out anymore.
They burnt themselves out so fast, and they hurt themselves where there's nothing left. One of the times I went to Russia was way before everything. Like, I was in there in the mid-'80s, and they told me over there that you only have so many max attempts in you, don't waste them. And it kind of makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's great advice for like big picture, and I think everyone listening can take something from that.
Olympic weightlifters used to do it before powerlifting. They were around before us, and some of them, they would make up a year routine where everything was written out just like I said, but a year in advance. So they knew every step of the way they were going to be. So if you do that accordingly, you kind of know what your outcome's going to be. But you just got to stick to it.
Yeah, you have to stick to it.
Yeah, so if you change that one day and say, I feel better, I'll do an extra couple reps or I'll do some more weight, what does that do for the big picture, for peaking and stuff like that? It screws up all the other weeks.
Next question is, if you could change something you did when you were younger, anything, would you? So that's training, diet, gym lifts, competition numbers, more athleticism, just anything you could think of.
All of it. You know what? My nutrition would have been a lot better, and mobility training.
Okay.
We didn't know anything about that. I mean, powerlifters stayed away from bodybuilders as far as nutrition, but a lot of bodybuilders, the way to cut up those last 2 weeks was like tuna fish in water, so it's not like they were up.
They weren't that far ahead either.
Yeah. That's pretty much about it. I probably would have peaked a little better because I enjoyed the training itself so much that I didn't care about the meat as much as I could have. You know, I think I could have lifted a few bigger numbers, maybe a couple less little tears here and there, but for the most part, I was pretty happy with what I did.
Yeah, I mean, clearly I know, like, asking you, that's a hard question, but definitely nutrition and mobility. I think those things have really advanced in the past
huge.
few years, and we didn't even know about.
Well, that's what keeps me being able to move now. I was just talking about this yesterday with the guys because, you know, I've had both hips replaced. My mom has osteorheumatoid arthritis, had both knees replaced, a shoulder replaced. She'll be 87 next month. She needs a new hip right now. So I got my hips from her. It wasn't really from powerlifting. So I was talking to the guys yesterday. It's like I can admit all my weaknesses now and admit what I have to do, but it doesn't mean shit unless I get off my lazy ass and actually do it. You know? It's you gotta do.
Mobility is the worst. Oh my god.
15 minutes before you go to bed, to do a little foam roll and a couple little stretches and a couple little exercises, and you feel miraculous the next day. But after you sat on the couch for 2 hours watching TV and wanting to eat a muffin and milk before you go to bed, you don't really want to do that shit. You just gotta make yourself do it.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I need to take away from our little interview, is just because I'm really guilty of that. And I have like 3 things that I should do every day, and I'm like, I'll do it for like 2 days and then I'll stop.
You put it off. You know what Stan Efferding taught me? He says, make a fucking list. Follow that list, and you're not allowed to do anything until you do that list, because it gets done.
Well, thank you, Stan, for that. The third question is, what could bodybuilders learn from powerlifters and vice versa?
Well, powerlifters, exactly what I just said with the diet.
Yeah.
And not to forget all the little exercises that give you a lot of balance, that keep imbalances and different motor patterns, bad motor patterns, from taking hold.
I think a huge surge of like just squat, bench, deadlift has happened. Yeah. And I've never understood that.
Overuse injuries, and like I said, if you're creating imbalances because you're overpowering certain areas and others are getting weak. And the other way around would be how to cycle your training more. When to go heavy, when not to go heavy, and vice versa. It goes back and forth the whole time. Everybody can feed off each other. Look at some of the biggest, strongest bodybuilders are some of the biggest, strongest guys. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And
just speaking of Stan, like before, he looks like, he's a bodybuilder and a powerlifter.
Yes.
And he kind of made.
Yeah, he did whatever he could to get as big as he could for what his body would allow him to do. And he went back and forth. Look at who's the big guy down there, Dallas McCarver. Look at the size of him and look at the weights he lifts. Yeah. But does he lift those heavy weights like that all the time? No.
A lot of bodybuilders just kind of go in willy-nilly, and I've been guilty of this too.
A lot of them, what happens...
Oh, this looks good today, I'll do it.
A lot of times people turn into pumpers. And what happens is, if they took a week off of training, all of a sudden they're small. It's not real.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference between stage muscle and longevity muscle that keeps you healthy for a longer period of time. As with any athletes, look at your pro athletes. If they would do a little bit more weight training, mobility, and diet, you get a guy, a baseball player or something, that makes $10 million a year easy if he's just half as good as anyone.
Mediocre.
Yeah, and if they can last 3 or 4 more years, That's 30 or 40 million dollars. So look at it that way. That's a huge amount. So, but if you do that to weightlifters, powerlifters, bodybuilders, fitness, figure, however you are,
Yeah.
and you can last longer, it's much happier, you're much healthier, and you feel better about yourself the whole way through, but you're gonna look better.
Yeah. And this is for females too. I know we just kind of hit on a few like male figures, just because they're more prominent. But even if you are a bikini competitor, because I know a lot of people watching this are, and I am myself, but for the majority of females, you're not going to just add like slabs of muscle, like lifting. You're gonna add a little bit of muscle, but it's necessary, and people forget about that. They just think high rep, cardio, and we're kind of moving away from that. And I'm not saying that if you do bikini, you have to do powerlifting, but at least have some kind of periodization, some kind of pushing yourself each week.
You gotta have a goal.
Yeah.
And how do I get
glutes
my
are
goal?
a muscle, so
Yeah.
people forget, like, and I love banded stuff. I love bodyweight things. I love high rep exercises.
Some of your best squatters and everything in the world, you've got glutes.
Yeah. So you have to kind of balance everything, and I think that's where we can all kind of learn from each other.
Oh, huge.
And our last question is, what do you look for in a training partner? Because you probably had a lot of training partners over the years.
Yeah.
And that's super important, especially if you're
It's just
powerlifting.
you have to both be on the same page, and they will learn how to coach you just as you coach them. So they're going to learn the right cues to help you as you help them. That's simple. Same goal. The goal doesn't have to be where they just want to get better. That's all. I never had a goal of I want to squat over 1,000 pounds. My goal was to get better every training cycle. And when you last a long time, you're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And training partners can be so helpful. Sometimes you want to train on your own. I know I get like that, but especially if you're trying to push yourself, like how we talked about with the training. And each, not every session, but each week you're trying to get better. You're trying to improve on something.
Yeah, you go ahead.
If you're dieting for a show, it's very hard, mentally, and you don't want to train. I know I fall into that category. So sometimes having someone there, even if they're not competing, if they just, they're there to push you, and you just know you have someone else that's like working out with you want to go harder. Especially if you're powerlifting,
Yeah, I could push myself on every little exercise. When you get a heavy squat, bench, or deadlift, there's no way you can just do it by yourself. Some of the guys that do, I think like Blaine Sumner and a few of the other guys, they're really driven, and they're young, so you can get away with it a little bit. But after a certain time, you get a little boost from people. There's no telling where you can go, because no one does it alone. You can't run a business alone. You can't do this alone. You can't train alone. You can't. You have to have people that support you the whole time.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome advice. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for doing
Thank
this.
you.
And I hope you guys enjoyed this. And what's your Instagram?
At Ed Coan.
Okay, so definitely follow him.
And one more message.
Oh yeah.
Fuck you, Ryan.
He wasn't here, so Stud Muffin wasn't here, so he was a little sad.
All right. Bye, guys.